Rob Daily, welcome back. Hi, the motorcycle heads. Today, as you can see, here is the 1973 Honda XL250 Motosport. It's been a little modification for Baja. And I just thought, the goal of the day is to put a new rear tire, double check these spokes. The bike being as old as it is, I'm kind of hoping that the spokes are all good. I have a 74 and some of the spokes are wired together, and sometimes people will do that because the spoke is frozen and it gives you more tension. That's not the case with this bike. I felt them by hand. They all feel pretty good. But let's remove this rear tire and I'll show you here what we're going to replace it with. It's kind of frustrating. I ordered a Hoosier for the back, and it was a no-show, so I ended up just ordering a nice Kenda, which is better than how old do you think this tire is? That thing has seen its better day. And some people would ride it, and I thought about it too. I probably would ride it in the dirt, but we're gonna do any kind of, try to even do one vintage race. It really needs to be in tip-top condition. You may not see me ride these motorcycles a lot, and we'll talk a little bit about that. I do ride. I like to ride. What originally inspired me to ride, I guess, was some little Honda 50s. Remember the Honda Trail 50 and the Honda Trail 70? And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But as far as this girl goes, let's see if we can get the chain, the rear tire, and wheel off, and then we can put the new niche rear sprocket. We've got a new niche chain. We'll look at it when we open it up, and then a new Kenda dirt bike. Hiya. So let's see, where do we want to set you guys up for this one? And we got to start out with this dude right here. There's a pin that goes through here. I'm going to take that out. I'm going to loosen this. We're going to have to take this off. We're going to loosen this guy, tap it a little bit. And we're going to loosen this, which is your tensioner for the chain. I'm going to loosen that up, knock it forward, pull the chain off, pull the tire and wheel off. I make it sound easy, but really, it's one of those things you kind of dread, trying to fight that tire off of this wheel and trying to fight the new tire on. But hey, it's here. We're gonna give it a good go at it and see what happens. So let me set up this tripod and we'll get to work. All right, so here we go. So let's talk about what inspired me originally as a 5-year-old to ride motorcycles. And that had to have been, I don't know, a lot of you aren't going to be familiar with the Dude Ranch, but our family, my pops, had planned a family trip to the Dude Ranch. And I guess, I don't know, I had to have been 5 years old. I don't know what a Dude Ranch is, but I do know we lived in Houston. And I do know that my dad's boss had these mini bikes, the Honda 50, Trail 50. He had a bunch of them, but okay, we're planning a trip to the Dude Ranch, and I see from my dad's shop, the Myers Hydraulics, the hydraulics shop that he worked at. Shout out Myers Hydraulics. They're no longer there, but they're off a long drive in Houston. They had planned a weekend to the Dude Ranch, and part of that trip, dang, this thing is on there. And part of that trip entailed riding mini bikes, riding the Honda 50, Honda 70, etc. And I knew this because some of the bikes, a couple of the bikes showed up in our garage when we were getting ready to make the trip. And I kind of screwed myself out of really getting to ride those mini bikes. I'll explain that in a moment. Okay, I need a wrench. 10mm wrench, guys. Never find one when you need one. And that's after I already laid out all these tools. So we're planning this trip to the Dude Ranch. We've got a Honda 50 and a Honda 70 in our garage. We have a little detached garage from our house. And Pops had brought the mini bikes home, I guess, to take with us to the Dude Ranch. And to make a super long story shorter, I'm 5 years old. We're getting ready to go to the Dude Ranch. Drink every time I say Dude Ranch, by the way. We're getting ready to go to the Dude Ranch, and I just remember specifically the dirt bikes, the mini bikes. We're going to get to ride mini bikes. We're going to get to ride dirt bikes. Pliers. Well, Saturday, I guess everyone else left to go to the Dude Ranch, and I got left home alone. And now I have a big family. Man, this hasn't been off in a minute. Get out of there. Come on. Oh my goodness, there we go. Remember this? It's a heck of a place to keep your master link, but I'm either going to put a new one back on here with it or put that one right back on there. So I get left home alone, and this was before cell phones and before, I guess I could have called. It wouldn't have been 911. It would have been just the number on the phone for the police. At 5, I guess I knew. Right, at that age, I guess I knew, you know. But I did know to call the babysitter that lived a couple of houses down. So I called, I think her name was Brenda? Glenda? Anyway, I'm old enough to use the phone. I called which happened to be a very attractive babysitter. And she came over. Hold on, guys. All right, sorry about that. I had to find the 10mm. So I called Brenda, or whatever her name was, come over. And of course, that's a 12mm. Sorry, fellas. Single train of thought. That's not too awful bad. So the babysitter, I call her. Apparently, it took my parents and my siblings. Well, you got to think about it. They have 5 other kids besides me. My sister, I was probably 5. My sister was 2 or 3. Forgive me for not having all of my tools laid out properly, but I kind of know where they're at. So yeah, it took them getting all the way to the Dude Ranch to realize that I wasn't with them, okay? So I'm home alone, bored, but I remembered the mini bikes being in the garage. Well, I'm like, I'm going to go check this out and see if those mini bikes are still there. Of course, they weren't. They were destined to go to the Dude Ranch, where at the time, like I said, I wasn't sad about the really good looking neighbor down the street coming to watch me for a few hours. And I wasn't really bothered about the whole deal, other than I knew it was dirt bike time, and I wasn't getting to ride any dirt bikes because I was stuck at home and my parents were gone. My siblings were gone. I was literally there by myself. And this is not the only time that happened in my life. I'm just getting these jam bolts all the way forward, because we are going to put a new chain on it, and we might need that bit of articulation there. That actually, it all feels pretty good so far. So Brenda or Glenda or whatever her name was gets a hold of the dude ranch. And I guess probably by that time, it was only a couple hours away. They made it there. They called the house. Of course, I was in the garage going to look for the mini bikes or whatever. I go into the garage. I screwed around in the garage for, dang, this one's a little tight. I mess around in the garage, look for the mini bikes. I don't remember what I was doing there exactly. So I guess my pops and my oldest brother hopped in the car and headed to pick me up. And this had been like around North Shore, Channel View, Houston area. Well, needless to say, I realized that they're on their way. By that time, the babysitter's hanging out with me at our house until they get there. And they get there, and my oldest brother comes in and he realizes that the garage door is partially open, the side door, the detached garage that goes into the house. And I guess Pops grabs me and my few things and he yells at Mom. Now, again, my Pops was not partnered with, but he worked for a hydraulic shop. Like I said, shout out Myers Hydraulics. In the garage, apparently, Pops had a forklift that he was working on, a little home project type thing. And I guess I had gotten onto the forklift and turned the lights on. And my brother saw that, went into the garage, and my Pops and I were outside. And the next thing we see is the roof lifting off of our detached garage, like going up into the air. So my brother, I guess, so if I was 5, he was 11, figured out how to start the forklift and engage the hydraulics and lifted the roof off the garage. So what could have just been a nice little trip to the dude ranch turned out to be kind of a nightmare. Not really for me. I ended up getting to ride the mini bikes a little. Okay, I got one ride. That day was done. By the time we got there, I was whooped. Pops had to nail braces and stuff to our garage to hold the roof back on. Because he ran in there, I guess, and shut it down and lowered the roof back down. But yeah, that kind of tells you how we rolled back then. Now, so yeah, I guess I was probably just stuck at the house for 2, 3, 4 hours. And it didn't seem like that long. I mean, it's like I said, it's not like they had a cell phone or anything like that. Okay, this is loose now. I need to loosen up this axle. So the next day, whenever I finally did get to ride the mini bikes, the Honda 50, well, I knew how to put it in gear. It did not have a clutch. It was kind of automatic type thing. And they said something about the block, about going around the block. And I wasn't 100% sure what a block was. So I didn't know that we were supposed to, I didn't know that we were supposed to ride in pairs. There was 2 bikes and my other brother was supposed to ride with me and we're supposed to go around the block. I didn't know what a block was. So I just took off. Like, Pop started one bike and put me on it, and he was starting the other bike to put my brother on it. I just said, Meow. I just took off. I remember it was a dirt road, and instead of the block, now I know it's go around the block. Oh, that's like butter, man. I got to give it to the owner of this bike. I'm thinking I'm going to have to fight this and beat it, and look at that. I bet you there's still grease on this axle. I would put money on it. So instead of making the block, I just shagged out, and there you have it. I remember Pops tracking me down, and or actually my brother tracking me down on the other bike and reprimanding me and making me follow him back. So that was my one chance to ride. And I got to ride. I just should have listened a little bit more. But heck, I was 5. I was excited to do it. And there you have it. The axle's loose. First motorcycle story. I got one that will really explain why I'm more mechanically inclined. I like to ride, don't get me wrong, but some things have happened in my life that is just like God telling you that that you shouldn't be riding every single day. I think that's happened to more than just me. But my very first motorcycle, like for real though, dog. Let's fast forward a couple years. Man, that is just beautiful. Fast forward a couple years where there's a hot babysitter is now my stepmom, and I now have a stepdad that I was always wanting a dirt bike, right? So then the stepdad, I got to find the master link on this chain, if there is one, which I'm pretty sure there is, because he carries an extra one. And I either got to chop this chain or pop the master link off. And there is said master link. And before I even try, I'm going to give it some PB Blaster. So fast forward a couple years, no more hot babysitter. Now I have a stepdad. I live with my mother and my stepdad. And I end up, I'm going to go ahead and hit all of these. All of these bolts with some PB Blaster holding this sprocket. Okay. Okay, stepdad is a mechanic, and he ends up getting me a Yamaha YZ80. I had only been, I'm probably like 9 years old, maybe 10. A Yamaha YZ80. That's the bike of every dirt bike dreamer's dreams. I would dream about when I would ride the school bus. Sometimes I would dream that I was riding that motorcycle. And which must have been somewhere before Christmas time, whenever it came to the house. And my stepdad is like, it didn't run. That was the big thing. The bike didn't run. I could sit on it. Already, I basically had practiced the gears and stuff like that. And my older brothers had a motorcycle here and there. I just wasn't really big enough to ride. Now that I'm big enough to ride, I've got a YZ80 sitting in the garage. And as a matter of fact, for Christmas, for the broken Yamaha YZ80, that's being finicky. I got a solution to you. For Christmas, I got a letter from Santa that said, anything you need from Yamaha shop to fix your YZ80. And again, hindsight's 2020. I didn't understand why we couldn't go right then and get the parts. It was because they couldn't afford them, or would have gotten that. Here's the chain, fellas. Woohoo-ba-doo. Yeah, it was because they probably couldn't afford the parts, so give him a letter. Anyway, my stepdad ends up rebuilding the engine to this Yamaha YZ80. I wonder if this thing's going to want to tilt. Nah, that's good. Rebuilding the engine to this YZ80. And again, a few months later, I guess 3 months later, I'm all excited about the bike being rebuilt, about the engine being done, being able to actually ride. We lived right down near the coast, the Gulf Coast, the of the coast of America there. And the point is that there was they called them Honda trails, and it was just like the drainage ditches and stuff between the subdivisions that we lived in, and the kids would ride their dirt bikes back there. So it's Saturday morning. It's a nice day to ride. I've got my pants tucked into my boots, not dirt bike boots, but just regular, like Tony Lamas or whatever. But I'm ready to ride is the point. I got my helmet on. Stepdad has rebuilt this engine on this YZ80. And looking back, it was a beautiful YZ80. Damn it. So it's Saturday morning, spring break, getting ready to ride my new to me YZ80. I got my helmet on. I got my boots, my pants tucked into my boots. I've got my helmet on. My stepdad opens the garage door like I'm ready to ride. He straddles the bike, makes sure this and that. I don't know what he was doing. He gives it a kick, gives it another kick. It didn't want to start. He did some other stuff. He gives it another kick. The throttle pins wide open, and he just panics until the engine goes white smoke everywhere, just filling up the garage. And I look down, there's oil just pouring out of the bike, and that bike never lived again. The bike disappeared shortly after that, but that was my very first dirt bike. Exploded in front of my very eyes and was never to be resurrected by one of my family members. So yeah, rock and roll. That was my first dirt bike experience, which now looking at it kind of explains why I'm interested in working on them and stuff like that. Like, that is neat, the way that only go in there a certain way. That is super cool, Honda, even back then. And then the first real dirt bike that I got to ride was a Yamaha 60, a little Enduro 60. And man, I tried to ride the wheels off, and there is definitely grease. It stays. There's definitely grease on this axle. That is just too cool. All right. Trailing link. I should have taken this off first, guys. But I'm not a professional motorcycle mechanic. I just play one on YouTube. I learned it by watching you, Dad. Okay. 13 maybe. All right, 12 millimeter. There we go. So yeah, the YZ80, never got to ride it at all. It was a big bunch of horse crap. But the Yamaha 60, that thing was it had to have been, that was in the 80s. It had to have been a few years old. Get out of there. It had to have been a few years old. But it was a beautiful bike, man. The YZ80. Okay. Right side, left side. Just, I don't know, as a rule, I always stack these on there the way that they go. Just my thing. All right, the tire. and the wheel are off. There we go. All right. Let's take a look at these brakes. Man, something told me that the maintenance on this bike had been done. I mean, just look. It's a 1973. There's absolutely nothing wrong with these brake shoes. Money. Somehow I knew the inside of this bike was good. Except now that I'll clean all this up real good with some brake cleaner. Take this down. Okay, let's just leave this off. Okay, we got some work to do there. Whew. What next? That's all good. Y'all don't want to watch me fight this. I'm just going to be cussing the whole time. And I don't think this is going to be a little 1, 2, 3 here, because if you look at this, I want to treat all of these with some lubricant, some deep creep. I want to clean that wheel up real good, and don't look forward to trying to break this old crusty tire off. I don't know, it might not be sweat. But the Yamaha 60 that I had, a little enduro, that thing was amazing. Whenever you let your older brothers just take off on your bikes and bring them back broken, one in particular, one's great. You help me fix it. The other one would only help me fix it so he could take it to go get drunk and then come back with a handlebar in his hand. So, but no, that's neither here nor there. First motorcycle wasn't a great experience. Second one was pretty good. You can see here that the rear wheel is just a little bit, the sprocket. It didn't look that bad, and looking at it now, it's not all sharpened it's not all sharpened up or pointed or whatever. But I know the chain has seen its better day. So I think I'll fight this all off on my own. And I appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning in. It's getting windy out here too. Yeah, I'll fight this stuff. We'll do another video, putting it back together. And then we will see about that front tire next. But today, I'll get back with y'all. I'll let y'all see the new sprocket, new chain, and all that. And other than that, it's a beautiful Saturday. Go out and ride your dirt bike. So have a badass evening and an even better tomorrow. Rob Daly. Base.